Welcome back to another edition of Grizzlies Daily. I'm your host Malik, and let's just get straight into it. I usually reserve topics like this for the end of episodes, but this is causing a firestorm on social media right now, so we have to get straight into it. Basically, if you don't know, Stephen A. Smith went to First Take and um, basically said that stars have personally told him that no one wants to play for the Grizzlies, and this is stars including Jimmy Butler. That's according to him. Stars like Jimmy Butler have told Stephen A. They don't want to play in Memphis because of they feel unsafe, and he's talking to the local authorities in Memphis. And all I have to say is I'm sorry, it's ridiculous take. It really is ridiculous because I get it. Memphis has been in the national spotlight for crime. You have the FBI director calling Memphis the homicide capital, which overall just isn't true at all. Um, and I work as a producer on the side. I work in the newsroom, so I hear all about the crime and what happens and stuff like that. And I'm just gonna straight up say it. Stephen A's a clown. That's a clown take right there. Because every city has their issues with crime. And the numbers show that Memphis is they're decreasing in crime and homicides. So I don't understand this whole ideology that crime just seems to be the deal breaker for players not wanting to come to Memphis. Every player that has come to Memphis and have spoken on Memphis have said nothing but good things. I mean, let's just be real. I don't like the ideology behind this whole take. And it's really stupid because majority of the crime that happens in Memphis is targeted. It's literally targeted. 9 times out of 10 is because someone slept with their significant other or guys just beefing. Just simple as that. It is rare that we have, out of all the crime, it is rare that it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna hurt this random person. Like it's compared to violent crime, it's very rare. And my whole thing with this is it's just overall stupid, and it's a bad look on the city, especially from somebody that hasn't even been in the city for real to really understand, what people watch out for and what really happens. And you can definitely tell it got under a lot of people's skin. It really did. I mean, including John Morant, who actually went out the tweet and say, um, he said, talking about the Grizzlies more than the finals with these cap sources. Instead of focusing on the performances we've seen from J Dub and Shea or TJ McConnell and Pascal Siakam, how this series is going, we say something negative about a city and team on a national level. And then he followed up that tweet saying, and I'm going to be in that 901, source me. So, right there, two things knocked out for one. Two things right there. If you ever need a clarification that John Morant is about Memphis and wants to stay in Memphis, look no further than that tweet right there. Anytime majority of people disrespect Memphis, John Morant speaks on it and talks good about the city. That's why when we look at these ridiculous trade rumors and people saying, a Desmond Bane trade means they're probably going to look to trade Ja next. That's not happening. Everybody in the city knows that's not happening because Ja actually he's more than a superstar. He is a city icon at this point because he's done so much for the city. He talks so good about the city that it's to a point where it's like he doesn't want to leave and the team doesn't want to leave. He's happy here and he's happy with the situation that's going on. So why would we be willing to trade that? But this whole ideology that stars don't want to come here because of crime is stupid because you could very well say the same thing about cities like Chicago who have been known to be crime oriented. We can even go as far as to say the state of Indiana. At one point, Gary, Indiana was considered murder capital. So that didn't stop anybody from coming to Indiana. That didn't stop a guy like Reggie Miller from going out and saying, you know what, I don't feel safe in Indiana. That's stupid. It's stupid, and it's overall it's not good that media members are running these narratives. Like I said, I have been around the mayor of Memphis multiple times, and he addresses the issue of crime. He says that regardless of what you see in the media, he says that crime is going down, and the numbers are showing that. Ever since the mayor of Memphis, Paul Young, has gotten into turn, crime has gone down. It has gone down. Homicides have gone down. As much as some people don't want to admit it, crime has gone down. And that's just the reality. And even if it hasn't gone down, even if it stays stagnant, there's not many people that have played for the Grizzlies that said, "Oh, I fear for my life playing in Memphis." Now, you may get a guy like Chandler Parsons who's going to say that, but Chandler Parsons was just a clown and an idiot that suited up and barely suited up at that. So he's going to say anything he can to sound like a villain against Memphis. That's just Chandler Parsons. He is the only former Grizzlies player that I know that could potentially say and agree with what Stephen A is saying. So overall, this is a clown take, and I hate that it's even getting the national attention for real, because a lot of people are going to bring up the gun incident, and they're going to bring up all these scenarios that people have to say about Ja Morant and the Grizzlies and the city of Memphis, when overall, if you actually take the time to come to the city, and I've born and raised here, I've lived here all 22 years of my life. I lived in the rough parts and I lived in the good parts. As long as you stay out the way, nothing's going to happen to you. Nothing will happen to you in the city of Memphis. As long as you stay out the way and stay out of the trouble, the chances of you being involved in crime are very slim. And that's just the reality of it. So the fact that we have national media members saying these things on First Take at that, it's crazy. It's crazy. Because really, if we're being honest, the reason stars don't want to come to Memphis is because Memphis is just hard to market. That's just the reality. It's hard to market. I mean, think about it. Memphis isn't even considered as a city for the All-Star game or All-Star weekend at that, because it's so much that the city has to do compared to other cities that overall it just can't be done. So I don't like this idea that, stars are telling Stephen A. Smith. And by the way, most of these sources that Stephen A. Smith talk about have always, and I mean always, have come out and said, yeah, this just straight up isn't true. So this whole Stephen A. Smith sources and things like that, it's not true. So I don't like this take. I don't like people talking against the city, especially my city at that, because I see what goes on. Yes, everybody has their issues, but to go out here and have an outsider say these things, it's ridiculous. It honestly frustrates me and it frustrates everyone else, because we're talking basketball, but you want to bring up something that's not related to it at all. Now, if Jimmy Butler truly thinks that way, then that's Jimmy Butler's opinion. He's not here. He's in San Francisco. And last time I checked, California has its fair share of crime. Every area has their fair share of crime. So this whole ideology is stupid to me. And honestly, I'm done talking about it, because I'm getting frustrated just talking about it, because I have this conversation almost every single day. And to see a guy like Stephen A., who's a master rage baiter, by the way, great rage baiter. He knows how to really get under people's skin. I will give him that. But this is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And like Josh said, talk about things that are relevant. Talk about things that are relevant. You can talk about the finals. You can talk about this and that. But to bring this up is stupid. And you could tell in the clip, he didn't want to bring it up at all. It took Jay Williams to say something for him to bring it up, to actually say what he meant to say. Other than that, clown take, don't really want to talk about it anymore. Stephen A., if you really want to know about the city of Memphis, how about you come down here and actually get some clarity? Because right now, you're public enemy number one. So that's ridiculous take right there. Let's talk now. Let's move on to actual sports for real. Let's talk about actual things that are going on with the Grizzlies that don't sound ridiculous. Now, if we look at this, we got some not really news, but more just like trending topics that I saw. Potential trade ideas for the Grizzlies. Now, this is from the account Memphis.Grizz on IG. Very good account, by the way. Shout out to him. He brought up some trade scenarios that I found very interesting. Obviously, if you don't know, John and Jaren, the team is, sources have said the team basically said that they're untouchable. So these are other sources that people are just talking about. So with Desmond Bane being on the Magic, I'm seeing deals, potential deals that say that the Grizzlies could go after a player like Norman Powell. So a potential deal will look like John Conchar, Cole Anthony, and 2 of the first-round picks from the Orlando Magic, one being that pick swap in the 2030 first-round pick for Norman Powell, who's on the expiring contract for $20 million. Now, obviously, you would have to pay Norman Powell because, let's be honest, Norman Powell was a all-star caliber player last year, and honestly, was making a case for All-NBA. So definitely a good guy to bring to the team. I mean, I I watched him play in person, and man, he's one of those ones. That's all I gotta say. I watched him play in person. He's really good. The likelihood of this deal, I don't know because it all depends on how the Clippers want to move. Obviously, they still have Kawhi, so they're looking to try to work with that. No telling what's going to happen with James Harden. So there's no real. It depends on what they want to do. Really, it all depends on the Clippers. Now, the other trade, which I think is more likely to happen, because the Pelicans have essentially said, "Hey, everybody's up for grabs." The this deal is with the Pelicans. It says John Conchar, Cole Anthony, and Gigi Jackson for 2 first-round picks, one being unprotected for Orlando and one being unprotected for us in 2027. For Trey Murphy. And we saw Trey Murphy having an outstanding year. Definitely made a case for most improved, if we're being honest. Yeah, I'd like Trey Murphy on the team. I just don't know if that would be giving up too much for Trey Murphy. I mean, obviously, this all could have been avoided if the Grizzlies don't make a draft day trade because the Grizzlies actually drafted Trey Murphy. But overall, I mean, if you look at it, I would like a guy like Trey Murphy on the team. He great defense, great 3-point shooting. Honestly, he's development into a great paint player who can drive to the paint and take a lot of contact. That's something that's very underrated about his game that a lot of people don't talk about. But once again, this is just a matter of what direction. It's all about what direction they want to move. So it really just depends on how you know other teams would like to go because the Grizzlies have the talent to trade with teams. So it's definitely something that I would consider. I would say you should consider definitely, especially with trading a guy like Desmond Bane for what you essentially offered and got back in return. So definitely something that the Grizzlies I would hope they consider, but not a big deal if they don't, in my opinion. But something else, and obviously, if you just heard me, I said that the Grizzlies don't want to move Jaren Jackson Jr. or Ja Morant. But with that being said, of course, someone has rumors that that teams could be linked to Jaren Jackson Jr. So one of the things, and this comes from Brian Windhorst, apparently there was a potential rumor that Jaren Jackson Jr. could be moved to the Lakers, or potential talks right there, but it's been shut down now, saying that there's no chance, absolutely not worth the discussion, that the Lakers could acquire Jaren Jackson Jr. And this is what I mean, just partially right here in my takes when I talk about how other teams and other fan bases feel about Jaren Jackson Jr. The Grizzlies, we've seen him play, so obviously people are going to have their think pieces on what Jaren Jackson Jr. and how good of a player he truly is. But I'm not even joking when I say it, and I'm going to keep saying it. 29 out of the 30 teams other than the Grizzlies want Jaren Jackson Jr. on their team. That's the reality. He's an all-NBA level player. He has his flaws, but at the end of the day, he's an all-NBA player and a 2-time All-Star and a former DPOY. So every other team would love to have a guy like him, and that's just the reality. You just have to live with that. If you have your frustration with Jaren Jackson Jr., then I don't know what to tell you. He's here to stay, and the Grizzlies are going to give him that extension unless there is an offer that they just absolutely cannot pass up. And another take that I saw, the New York Knicks reportedly viewed Jaren Jackson Jr. and Karl-Anthony Towns as a dream pairing. Got to be honest, I don't see how a deal with the Knicks is done. I would assume that maybe something gets done, but then again, this is New York that we're talking about. New York gets linked to every single all-star and superstar that's in free agency or the all-season in general. So I'm not thinking too much of it, but in a hypothetical situation, I guess the Knicks would be I would say if the Knicks want a deal like that done, one player in mind that the Grizzlies absolutely would have to want is OG Anunoby. He fits perfectly on the team, and he's a great third option scorer, or maybe even a second option scorer. Who knows? He's a great option for the team, but one would have to think it probably wouldn't happen. I mean, the team is set in stone on their keeping their stars. Like I said, unless there is a deal they absolutely cannot pass up on, go for it. But other than that, I like the loyalty. I like the game plan that they have in mind, and they're keeping it at that. Now, looking into next year, something that kind of caught my attention that kind of reassures how things are going to look going into next season. It's been reported that the Grizzlies, obviously after the Jaylen Wells trade, it's been reported after the Grizzlies traded Desmond Bane that they view Jaylen Wells as a long-term starter, and it doesn't take one to not think that. I mean, I think the Grizzlies feel like they found their number three guy for the future. Like that's just something that doesn't surprise me. I mean, you look at Jaylen Wells, he came onto the team and essentially took over. He took the league by storm. I mean, I this is why I say when it comes to guys like Dylan Brooks who were here, obviously, you got the culture talks, but I mean when it comes to playing on the court, Jaylen Wells is that guy that you looked to replace for Dylan, and he's working out perfectly fine. Excellent 3-point shooter, great defender. I mean, this is a guy I watch hold the greatest shooter of all time to 2 points on 0 field goals. Not too many people can say that. Not too many people can say that they've done that, but Jaylen Wells can. He's a excellent defender. Obviously, one thing about Jaylen Wells that I hope just put on a little more muscle. That way he can take on certain guys in the paint. But other than that, I like the idea of putting trust in Jaylen Wells and overall having him be on the team and essentially just give him the keys to the position that he is set to play. Because I think as long as when you have a confident Jaylen Wells, you have a great game plan. So this is something that obviously going into next year, I'm really looking forward to. I hate that his year got cut short due to that injury against Charlotte, because I think a playoff Jaylen Wells against a team like OKC, we definitely could have saw a more competitive series. But that's just wishful thinking. All we can do is just look forward to next year and next season that the Grizzlies have in store. But all in all, we don't even know how the roster is going to look. So that's something that we all got to pay attention to. But as for right now, that's all I got for today's episode. So make sure you like and subscribe to this video if you want more. Make sure to turn on those post notifications. If you want to know when we post and upload, make sure to leave a comment as well. I really got nothing to say. Once again, Stephen A., that's a clown take right there. We're slowly straying away from what sports media is really about. So clown take right there. Whoever those sources are, like I said, Stephen A's sources are quote unquote reliable, but they're never reliable. Let's just be honest. But that's all I got for today. Yeah, man, y'all have a great day and stay blessed.